Hello everyone and welcome back to another Minecraft tutorial. In this tutorial I'll be showing you how to make mobs pop out of the ground just like this. For those of you who have seen my haunted cemetery build, you know that I found a skeleton spawner, built a cemetery over it using minecarts and slime block launchers. I make the skeletons pop out of random graves. So I'm going to show you how to do that. This will be good for building haunted cemeteries, maybe trolling people, whatever you want to use it for. So let's take a look down here and see what's happening. So basically we've got a collection area that collects our mobs. This is going to work with basically any mob that is over 2 blocks tall. I mean over 1 block tall, I'm sorry. It's not going to work on baby zombies, so you're going to have to filter those out before the collection area, or they could jam up the system. So what happens here is we've got a dispenser set up with minecarts in it, hooked up to a clock right over there, and every once in a while it's going to spit out a minecart. You can change, my goodness, the weather. You can change the timing on it to make it as fast or as slow as you want. This one I've got it set pretty slow just because I've only got 1 popper over there, 1 zombie popper. So it spits out a minecart as you just saw. Minecart goes this way. If it's an empty minecart, it's going to go over this rail here and go right back into our system. So the minecart's going to get broken on the cactus, drop into the hoppers, and go right back into the dispenser. If there is a mob in it, it's going to trip this tripwire, which moves the rail straight. So he's going to travel this way, hit this activator rail, and that's going to knock him off the minecart. And since we have slabs set up here, there's nowhere for him to go except for onto that slime block right there. And let's see if we can get a demonstration here. Any second. There we go. And you can see he pops right into that little slime block launcher. The minecart keeps going down here, hits an activator rail, sends off a redstone signal into this chain. First, the redstone signal goes up into this and depowers this little sticky piston here, which is holding a dirt block up there. It pulls it down, and then on a 1 tick delay it deactivates these, you can see that, and it pulls the sticky piston and the dirt block back out of the way. And then on a 4 tick delay we've got the slime block launcher that actually launches the zombie or skeleton or whatever you have through the dirt, and then it replaces everything back to the way it was, so you can't see where the zombie came from. He just magically appeared out of the ground. And we'll see it one more time in action. Oh, one got stuck. That happens every once in a while in creative, but it never happens in survival because they're instantly aggro towards you and start running around looking for you. Now I set up a few different versions of this just so you can get an idea of how to make it differently. On this one you can see we've got 2 different mob poppers. So we've got a slime block launcher here, a slime block launcher here, and right here we've got a track randomizer that switches the track back and forth. It's basically just a hopper with 3 non-stackable items in it, and that gets us a timing just right to where it switches back and forth the same amount of time for each one. So it can be any 3 non-stackable items, swords, shields, any of that junk. So what happens is, let me grab a minecart to demonstrate. There we go. And I might want to get a little closer. There we go. So you can see there, depending on what time the minecart gets here, it's either going to go left or go straight and drop the mob into one of the 2 waiting cells. And it's going to be pretty random depending on when the zombie actually goes into the cart. You can see it goes into a different one pretty much every time. There we go. Nice. So you can see a nice demonstration of that. And on this one I just have a cactus here killing the minecarts because I don't have a collection system set up on it. Now on this system here I've got a quad popper. So we've got 4 different slime block launchers set up. and get out of there. And this one I've got a 5x7 room set up here, so 5 blocks across, 7 blocks wide. And I'm going to clear this weather. I keep having to clear it. It's annoying. This is about the 15th time I've had to clear it. And let's also change the time. There we go. Okay, and I also did a little bit different timer on this one. On this guy over here, I've got your basic redstone hopper timer dilly bulb. On this one I've got a hopper circle. So we've got 8 hoppers here that are joined in a circle. They just go, the item goes round and round and round and round. In it we have one item that sends a 3 signals, so signal strength of 3, so a non-stackable item. And when we power this, what it's going to do is send out a signal into this dispenser that dispenses our minecart, and at the same time it sends a signal down to here where we've got our collection area. You can see the minecarts on their trip back, they come back, they get broken on the cactus, go into the hoppers, and go into a dropper here. And so that timer is hooked up to these droppers so that it sends the minecarts back up into the dispenser up here where they wait to be... Let me fill this up. I broke a lot of them earlier when I was moving everything around. So it sends them back up into this dispenser where they're waiting to be dispensed out again. Now, let me turn this one off, so I don't have to listen to it popping around, and we're going to turn this one on and we're going to watch what happens here. Wrong switch. That switch there. Now you can see we've got the track randomizer here that's switching the track back and forth right there. We've also got one set up in between each of the sets of poppers. So we've got a, a track switcher there and another one on that side. So on this one, the mobs are either going to go left or right, and then there's another choice of left or right, so they're going to go into either the front one or the back one, and same thing on this one, front one or back one, and it's kind of random just depending on the time. And I'm stuck under a block. Let me get back up here and we can watch them popping up. They seem to be dying because of the sunlight before they even get a chance to come out now. That's terrible. So also on this one, we've got the tripwire set up here where if it's an empty minecart, it's just going to go this way and drop off and go back into the recycler just like that one did. Now every once in a while these are going to back up. That's why we've got this loop so that it can come back, and if there's a minecart here and it bumps into it, it's just going to come back, bounce back, and then go back into the braking system. And if there is a zombie on it, he's going to continue down this way, hit the activator rail. And on this one I did a little bit different. We've got a 1 block drop, and our empty minecarts, just like that, they drop off the edge, bounce back here, go this way, and then go on to the braking system right over there. This is just to prevent any minecarts that happen to bounce back. They're not going to keep setting off the launching block there. They're gonna instead bounce back and forth down here and go back through until they finally hit the braking system. So now let's take a look at each individual component that makes up the system, starting with the holding area. Now here's our basic holding area. The mobs will be dropped into this little chamber from a mob spawner or a mob farm, whatever you've got set up. They're going to be dropped into this where they're waiting to be caught by a minecart that's shot out of a dispenser here, and then you got to have power rails along here or they'll just get stuck. Now we're going to have a timer hooked up to the dispenser here, which I don't have set up right now. Now, as I said before, this is going to work with 2 block tall mobs. That also includes creepers. They're not 2 blocks tall, but it'll work with creepers, zombies, and skeletons. It's not going to work with babies zombies. It won't work with wither skeletons. You can make it work if you move the launcher or the ground level up 1, because the withers are 3 blocks tall, they won't fit inside the system the way it is. You can see there's only a 2 block tall gap, so the minecart won't shoot them into there. For some reason the game just doesn't see that there's enough room, even though there's 3 blocks inside. It still will just try to kick them out onto the rail system. But if you move this up 1 block, it'll work. The only problem with that is when they launch out, they're going to get stuck in halfway in the dirt. So their legs are going to be trapped in the dirt, their body will be sticking out. It's no big deal, they will pop themselves out and start walking around, but that's just something to keep in mind. The system will also work with cave spiders, but it's a little bit difficult. If you have your holding cell set up like this with a fence post in the middle and the track wrapping around it, it'll pick one up. It doesn't pick them up very often just because of their small hitbox, but it will work. It's just a little bit slower than the rest of the mobs. So that is our holding area, and again it's very basic, just glass. You can use any block, I just use glass so we can see in, and then our little rail platform, and that's about it. For the rails, you can do just a regular straight rail if you're using 1 popper like I did over there, and if you want to have a splitter, this is how it's done. You can see here I've got our main line coming in and it's split into 2, and then there's also a bunch of splits here where it can go into different holding areas. To do that, you just set up a basic hopper clock, 4 hoppers chained together and 3 non-stackable items in it that are going to send out a redstone signal of 3. It doesn't have to be non-stackable items that send out a signal of 3, but it does have to be 3 individual items, and if you do something that only sends out a signal of 1, you're going to have to put a block here and a repeater closer in. That's why I use the swords, because they send out a signal strength of 3, and it's a lot easier to get the repeater set up. Now what happens is every time those 3 items go through, you can see they send out a signal to the comparator, and it's a pretty long signal. It goes over here to this repeater where it's sent out into these tracks. Because the blocks are right above the tracks, you can see there's no block underneath, but because they are still right up above, they're going to power these guys individually. And what we've got here is the repeater setup. You don't need it. The only reason it's here is to adjust the timing of the rail switch. So you can see now they're pretty even switching right now. If we change this, you can see that it's starting to change a little bit. Now that one's completely different timing than this one. So the first step in the process of building this is deciding where you want your mob to come out of. So this is going to be our ground level, and we're going to find a spot where we want the mob to pop out of. We're going to dig down 8 blocks, so we have 8 blocks from the top block to the ground block here, so 7 blocks to the ceiling here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So this is the area that our little mob launcher is going to be going, and we're going to need at least a 5x5 area. Depending on how you do the wiring, it can be a little bit bigger. So what we're going to do is go straight down from our hole, and maybe, yeah, there we go. Put down a sticky piston facing up, and I don't have anything prepared. Let me get some stuff here. Slime block, and we're also going to need a non-movable item. So let's pick out obsidian, just because. You can also use furnaces, glazed terracotta blocks, whatever you want to use. I'm just going to use obsidian. And what we're going to do is go up 2 blocks, encase that one in obsidian, and then we're going to go up another 2, and put a sticky piston right there, and whatever our floor block is going to go there. So if you're using dirt, you're going to put a dirt block there. If your ground is sandstone, you're going to put a sandstone block there. If you're using stone, you're going to put a stone block there, etc. Now it looks a little bit funky right now, but that's okay because we're going to be powering that piston and it's going to push that block right back up there. Now we can get rid of these. These were just temporary blocks. So this is going to be our holding area and our slime block launcher at the same time. This is going to be the piston that pushes the dirt block and pulls it out of the way. We're going to need 2 more sticky pistons to pull this out of the way. So we're going to go over 1 block from this facing into it, just like that. Put down 2 sticky pistons. So you can see this one's facing this sticky piston, this one's facing this dirt block or grass block there. And then we're going to, let me get a redstone torch. Right, so we're going to power this one, so we're going to come out 2 blocks and power that guy. We're going to do the same thing over here, just like that. Whoops, other side. There you go. Now you can see this torch is only powering the bottom one, so what we need to do is put a block right next to that guy, and it's going to power both of them. So the torch powers this one, the torch also powers this block, which powers that piston right there. So that's that system almost done. We need to add a block in the middle in between those 2 torches, and we're going to get a redstone repeater, set it on 1 tick in between those guys, and that's going to be the timing system for that, so that it pulls back this one first and then that one, just like that. And then when it resets, that one goes first and then that one. So it moves the dirt block out of the way and then pushes it right back up there. So you can see at the top level that little funky divot's not there anymore. It looks normal. You don't know where the zombie's coming out of. Now we're going to have our rail system coming in on this side, just because it's going to be easier for what we need to go, where we need our redstone to go. So let's go ahead and grab some sandstone, bing bing bing, just like that. I lied, we're going to have it on the other side, it'll be easier. So this way, if we wanted multiple cells, we could have another one right across the way right here, starting there. So we'd have the slime block launcher right there. In this case, I'm only going to do 1, so let's get rid of that. And then we're going to bring this here, going to go down. Actually, let's bring it out 1. It'll just be easier for the wiring, showing you the wiring on this. So we'll go down 1, and like that. So that's our rail system. So the mobs are going to be coming in this way. Let me grab rails. Regular rail, get rid of that, and I'm going to need a detector and activator, and while I'm at it, let me grab a lever. Should have had all this ready, but I didn't. Okay, so the rails are going like this. This is our mob collection area over here somewhere. You can make the rail as long as you need to. First we want to set up the launching system, and then we can backtrack and make our rail go back to the system. It's just easier that way. That way we're not having to redo everything. And we're going to power this activator. We want to power it on the side, not underneath, because if we power it underneath, once this launcher goes off, it's going to get stuck there because this block is powered on the side, or the power lever is on the side, so it's actually butt powering this as well. So we need it on the side here. Now we're going to bring our rails this way, and then throw an activator rail. That's going to send our signal upstairs to these guys and downstairs to the slime block launcher down there. We need some blocks here. And what we're going to do is catch the signal underneath this block, underneath the block that the activator rail is above. We're going to catch the redstone signal, put some redstone dust and 4-tick repeater set to go off into the slime block launcher there. Alright, I had to clear the weather real quick. It started raining again. So to get our signal up to this guy, we've got to do this setup here, but with slabs. The reason we need slabs is because if we try to do redstone like this, it's just not going to work. Whereas where is my slabs? If we do it like this, you can see it will get rid of that. You can see it's connecting there because we're using half slabs. The signal's not getting cut off by the block. So we need to do this design right here next to this right there. So we're going to use a slab up against that one. Okay, for the next block we're going to use some temporary blocks to build our design here. So this right here needs to be a slab, so let's use a temporary block right there, just like that, and you can see we've got our stair right there. Now we're going to have to go temporary block here, slab at the top of it, just like that, and then we're going to have to come out one, so we're going to go temp block here, slab, slab, and then slab, just like that. Get rid of that temporary block. Now you can see we've got two blocks here. This is because we need a repeater going into this block so that it actually depowers that torch, and on a delay depowers that torch. So now we can backtrack with our redstone, redstone, redstone dust, redstone, redstone dust, redstone dust. And you can see, you can follow the path. So right here, the activator rail is going to send a signal into there. It's going to go up to that, up to that, up to here, and then into those blocks. And that is our holding cell area, with the exception of glass, or whatever block you want to use to block them in. We're going to use that right here and basically fill in everywhere there is a gap, because the mobs can get out sometimes. Then we're going to take some slabs and wrap it around the front end here, so that when the game checks to see where it can put the mob, it's going to see that there are slabs here, and that means that the only place that it can put it is in there. And actually, yeah, throw them onto the slime block launcher. Now we're going to test our system just to make sure it works. Always test. We're going to put a minecart down and make sure everything goes off, and it did. Make sure the slime block launcher launched, slime block launcher launched, and those are pulling everything out of the way. Good, good. We're going to go ahead and glass right here, just in case. For some reason a mob is sent kind of funky, he's not going to get out. And we're going to put a piece of glass there also. Now test it one more time, and everything is working great. Awesome. So that is our holding cell. Now you know how to make it. You can make as many as you need. So that is the entire launching system. It's easy enough to build. Once you built your first one, the second one is a lot easier. You can build as many as you want. The only thing is you're going to need to continue the tracks on if you build multiples. So you're just going to do that to have the next cell down the line. And then your return system, you're just going to want to return them back to the dispenser, the minecarts, once they're empty. Easiest way to do that is just to have them go up a rail system straight into a cactus where you have hoppers waiting to catch the minecarts. Let me see if I got a minecart. There we go. Just like that. So it's going to catch them and put them right back down into that dispenser. You can do that system however you want. I'm not going to tell you how to do it. Everybody has their own little way. The timing system also is your preference. I used a few different ones on this. I used the hopper timer over here. And this is the timer that spits out the minecarts, if you remember. And it's just 8 hoppers that are chained together. They go in a circle, one item inside there, and comparator coming out of one of them going straight into the dispenser. Or you can use the old redstone hopper clock like this and choose the timing setting however you want it. You might not know how to make that, so I'll make that and show you. So we're just going to set up Let me get out a sticky piston. Don't seem to have one. And we're also going to need that. Okay, and we're going to need comparators. So to set up that kind of a clock, what you're going to do is set up hoppers facing into each other, which I should have, yeah. Okay. So for now we're going to put one hopper down, put a hopper facing into it, break this one, face both hoppers into each other. Now we're going to move this out a block, just like this. So we've got one block space in between those two. Put a comparator facing out of both sides, just like that. And then on this side, right in front of this comparator, we're going to put a sticky piston in front of that comparator, both facing into each other. Redstone dust, and we're going to put a redstone block right there. Now, once we put some items in there, every time they cycle back and forth, it's going to send this back and forth. So we can draw power right off of this guy and send it to our dispenser. And every time it gets power, it will spit an item out. Now we can adjust this by taking some items out, putting fewer items in. So I put in a whole stack, more than a stack. You can see with one item, it's going to spit it out really fast. Spit out minecarts really fast. The more we put in there, the slower it's going to go. You can hear it clicking. There we go. And then to turn it off, you're just going to, you can either put a redstone block, boom, on one of the hoppers, or you can put a power switch connected to it, power lever connected to it. I don't have any other blocks, so I'm just going to use obsidian, just like this, and when you turn this on and off, it's going to turn the system back on and off, because we're powering that hopper. So you can see they're starting to flow again. If we hit the switch, it's going to turn it off. They're not going to flow again, just like that. So you can do it that way or do it however you want. The timing is going to be adjusted to your needs, so I'm not going to tell you how to put a clock on there. Just remember to run it into the dispenser. And that is the entire system all put together. Like I said, you can chain as many as you want. I can't remember for sure, but I think I've got 24 set up in my cemetery that I built. Do as many as you need. I've got 4 set up in this 5x7 room. That would be great for trolling. So do as many as you need. I hope this helps, and I hate this rain. I've had to clear it so many times. I'll see you guys in the next tutorial or next video. Bye bye, have a good day.